Social media, the sites that connect the world. With over 3 billion users worldwide, it makes up for one of the largest online communication platforms in existence. It allows for quick and simple access to information from a colossal database of people, animals and objects, with many different formats from images to paragraphs. It truly is something from the future. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Snapchat. These are currently the most popular social media sites of people aged 16 to 25. But how can the sites that connect us to the world be gradually chipping away at our self-esteem? And how can they be used for good? To find out, let's talk to Kerry and Jackson.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. So to start off with, I'm just going to talk generally. So social media is, to me anyway, for someone who's 18 years of age, social media is an important factor in my life. I use it every day, almost all the time. How do you use it compared to how I use it, I guess?
Yeah, I think for me, the main reason I use social media is to communicate with friends and family. I think it's quite useful when you have family that live quite far away. Obviously, you know, you can connect to Wi-Fi and it's free to contact them via like Facebook Messenger. But I don't use an awful lot of social media networks, to be completely honest.
So there's a term I've kind of come across during my research for this. It's like someone's highlight reel. So they only post what you want them to see. What is that? Do you think that's like important in the sense that it kind of makes you think about what your life is compared to what you're seeing in other people's lives? Do you think that kind of affects you as well as like other sort of body image type? Do you think that's more?
Yeah, I think like one of the major issues with that is, you know, you only post really the positives. So, you know, for a friend or a family member, they might not be fully aware of what's going on, like internally, because you are posting what you want people to see, which, you know, brings you back to the issue of not sort of receiving the appropriate support and being educated with social media. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So what about the kind of darker side of social media? So there's so many people that are kind of done bad things, like the terrorist organisations, and they use social media to post about their kind of vendettas and their sort of aims to what they do. Do you reckon that's probably not so used because the way they post things, it's open to the public and people of many ages can see that? Do you think that's?
Yeah, I believe so, especially with the social media audience being the demographic is quite a low age range, so people are going to be more influenced as well, and I think that can be a major issue.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for
Thank you.
Now we have an understanding of what social media actually is. Let's delve into the depths of why social media affects us in certain ways. Mental health is an ever-growing problem in today's society. It has a debilitating effect on all types of people. Rates of depression and anxiety are forever rising, and with an increasing social climate, it's becoming clear that there is a link between social media and mental health. The best way I can describe our link to social media is addiction. When the small red circle appears in the top right corner of an app that has an ever-increasing number, we cannot help but to open it and clear the notifications. Next to me, I have Ingrid and Akira to tell us more. Hi.
Hello. Hello.
So, what I really want to touch on is how we think social media affects our mental health in certain ways. So, for example, I know hundreds and hundreds of people that have struggled with sort of their body image, and because they see these pictures of celebrities that are all photoshopped and have the perfect proportions. I just wondered how you think that affects us.
The issue is because we have these images, they seem perfect and seem ideal and almost like make us crave for that. Not only the spaces where they are, what they do, but how they look. And it's a problem because not everyone is exactly the same. And the problem is that, I mean, not even twins are the same. So why we're expected to be exactly alike in media? That is an impossibility. However, it's being sold as, well, if you work hard enough, if you use enough filters, you may be able to. And the problem is when we cannot achieve that, is when we struggle mentally, emotionally, we are causing distress. And we're still participating with these viruses. So it will be a problem that as long as we use social media this way, it was just going to go in crescendo. And it all depends on what we are allowed to be in social media and to have in social media.
So there's a term I came across when I was doing my research called social currency. And they define that by the more kind of likes, comments and shares you get is the how popular you are on. So it's similar to how much money you have makes you richer. It's kind of works in that. Do you think that affects someone's mental health? So they must think, oh, I'm getting more likes on that one than I am on that one. So do you reckon I should post more pictures of me looking like that in like more? Do you reckon that affects their mental health in a way that it kind of makes them think that they should post and should look like a certain way in order to be more popular?
Yeah, like I definitely find like when I'm out in public and stuff, like I want to take a picture of that to post on my social media, whether it be on like an Instagram story or like on the actual feed. I find that it does definitely affect me in that way, and I think it's quite sad that people can't really live anymore without thinking about posting something or sharing it with the whole world. Because if you think about it, I don't think anyone really cares that deeply about what you're posting or doing. I think it's just more of like a mental note thing that you make, like, oh, I need to share this later. And I also find when you don't, so say you post a picture of yourself, those pictures get more likes than to say if you were to post a picture of like scenery or something outside. Because I think people on social media are more interested in seeing selfies and just pictures of other people rather than taking value in actual, like the actual outside world, you know?
I want to also touch on how social media affects people of different ages. So you get sort of your younger generation, sort of 5 to about 14, and they're kind of trolling, as they call it, on like certain games and certain websites. That's almost a form of online harassment, I would have thought.
Absolutely.
Do
That's
you
what
think-
it is.
Yeah.
Certainly, because now we are, to me, trolling is just like the nice word to say, well, that could potentially be a crime, shouldn't it?
Yes.
That's harassment. It's just like the word bullying, you know, that could be a crime. But well, let's call it bullying because it's not that word. No, it is bad. And it will get bad, even worse. It's bad bills, even more bad stuff. So you grow up with this digital environment and then you're teaching little children, say, that is just a troll. If you don't like something, you say something, you'll be a little bit of a troll. And then, no, let's give the real names.
Yeah.
That's harassment, whether it's in an online platform or in real sort of life. That's what it is. And I think it's not only the users, but you know, who educates the future generation of users as this is wrong. You should not tag anyone. You should not shame anyone. You should not do any of those things anyway. But internet provides that sort of safety of, I'm going to hide behind my computer, my mobile, or my tablet.
Oh yeah, definitely.
No one will
It
know.
toughens you up because you're behind a screen.
Yeah.
Like it makes you wonder, would they even say those things to the
Absolutely.
person
Even
in
face to
real
face.
life? Yeah.
It wouldn't probably
Yeah,
even
no.
happen.
So yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining me on here today. Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, not everything that comes out of social media is bad. There have been hundreds of online social movements that have helped us shed light on real-world issues, such as gun crime and sexual assault. March for Our Lives caused an online social media storm in the United States. Organised solely by students, it has become one of the biggest online movements to date. I have with me Kenya and Ryan to tell us more. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
So, these online movements, what do you think makes them so important in today's society?
I think mainly the fact that, especially with March for Our Lives and stuff like that, it is a lot to do with like adolescence. And I think that people aren't listening to them, although we're trying very hard, especially in America with the whole gun violence thing, is obviously it's been a problem for a very long time. Many people have died, especially younger children as well, because of like the Sandy Hook Elementary School. And like the government just don't listen. And I think the more that you push for it, the more it would happen.
And that's the key point. It's all about change. So your generation is a generation demanding change. My generation, we're happy with the status quo. We've created this structure of society. We want them to stay in place because they keep us in power. You guys are recognising that these systems of power are massively unfair, they're dangerous, they're damaging, and they're genuinely costing lives. So you guys are demanding change, and you're demanding that through your social movements. You're mobilising people at a rate never before seen. And you guys are getting much more into civic activism, political engagement, all through social media.
So I know you touched upon there why the younger generations use it, but why do you think the older generation that are in power don't tend to use social media in the way we use it? They tend to use it in the way that they want to promote themselves. So say in politics, they use social media to get to the younger generations, but why aren't they using social media to expand their knowledge on everything that's going on with what's happening with us?
Yeah, well, there's a real reluctance to engage in real-world debates. So social media is fantastic for giving you 2 points of the argument. Here's one set of facts, here's another set of facts, you guys make up your minds. But the older generation are much less inclined to look at both sides of the story. They like this kind of almost like monolithic perspective, this one understanding of the world. Generations of, say, 35 to 60 don't really like change too much. They can't appreciate different perspectives, and there's a real reluctance to engage in that. But also, there's a real delegitimization of your generation. We don't like, my generation are scared of you guys. We don't like the fact you're going to take away our power. So we try to delegitimize you and devalue you in any way that we can to try to keep you suppressed, to try and keep you subordinate to us. One way to do that is to criticize your uses of technology and to not recognize the fact that how you use social media is wonderfully important and meaningful in that you're communicating with the entire planet. You're spreading information, you're sharing news, you're calling for change. My generation wants to delegitimize that action by devaluing social media. So we think that if we can control social media, we can control the ways that you guys talk amongst yourselves, we can control you. What's interesting is you guys are rejecting that idea.
Yeah, so also with that, I feel like most of us, young generation-wise, get all our news and worldwide information from these platforms. So from the little ads you get on Snapchat and through advertisements on Facebook. I feel like that's where we get our news from. Like with the Amazon fire recently, that wasn't really touched on mainstream news platforms. That I feel like that was probably part of what social media is, what that affects. So why do you think that social media takes these issues that should be broadcast live on big news sites and just kind of takes them and puts them on social media networks? So why do you think that happens?
I think that, like, once again, it's something to do with the young generation, like, being fed up of it. Like, you see a problem happening. Like, the Amazon rainforest is a big deal. Like, it's such a big deal, and I feel like people don't understand how important it is. So when, like, news sites like the BBC were ignoring it, I know a lot of people on Twitter were like, this is happening, you need to do something about this, otherwise the world is just going to end. It's like the whole Greta Thunberg thing. I know a lot of people don't like her, but she's doing a lot of good for, like, the planet. So,
yeah, and the people who are kind of benefiting from the destruction of the rainforest are middle-aged, middle-class business people. Yeah. They're the same people whose generation and whose kind of ethnic backgrounds also work in these media institutions. So it's kind of almost in their interests to not speak about what the destruction of the rainforest, because it's generating business and generating profits for their friends and their comrades. Yeah. The way that social media works differently is that because those gatekeepers aren't there, you guys are spreading the message yourself. And it's that spread of information that's enacting real world change. Currently,
Extinction Rebellion in
that's
all
big.
over the world is absolutely massive. What do you think makes that so big? Obviously, it's like a really important part of today's society with saving, Earth from dying.
I think what they're doing is good, but I also think it's a bit too extreme in a way. So I don't know what it is they sprayed, but they sprayed an important building with fake blood. Mm-hmm. And I get it, like, good for you. Probably got a lot of people talking about it. But also it might get people to be like, a bit much, you're being a bit too forward about it. And I know recently they've been, like, climbing on trains so they can't, like, go anywhere, and gluing their hands to buildings. I think people might start to get the wrong idea about it, and I don't want that to happen.
Well, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for enlightening us on everything. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Social media, the sites that connect the world, that connect us to pain, change, suffering. In an ever-changing society, moving online is something that we all take for granted. The next time you send a message, take a moment to think about what's about to happen. The millions upon millions of waves of information that travel faster than the speed of light into space, then instantly back down to Earth. The small amount of time it takes to ask if someone is feeling okay. The ease of signing an online petition. Social media shouldn't be feared, it should be cherished. It truly is something from the future.